Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is not something you'll hear in the highlight reels, not something you'll see in the Instagram quotes, not something you'll find in a cheap YouTube short. This is a truth, the raw, unpolished truth about why you're not winning yet. It has nothing to do with luck, nothing to do with unfair circumstances, and nothing to do with someone else holding you back. It has everything to do with you, with what's happening inside of you every single day, in the silence of your mind when nobody is watching. You think the reason you're not winning is because you don't have enough money, because you don't have the connections, because you weren't born into privilege, because the system is unfair. And maybe all of that is true. Maybe you do start 10 steps behind. Maybe the world didn't deal you the cleanest hand. But let me remind you of something. So did Edison. He grew up poor, half-deaf, mocked by teachers who said he was too stupid to learn anything. Yet he gave light to the world. So did Carnegie, an immigrant boy who worked in a steel mill for pennies, yet became one of the wealthiest men who ever lived. So did Disney, fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination, bankrupted, ridiculed. Yet he built an empire that shaped the childhood of generations. And so did Steve Jobs, adopted, broke, rejected, kicked out of his own company. Yet he returned to change the way humanity communicates. Do you see the pattern? The truth is never about circumstance. It's never about what you were given. It's always about what you decide to do with what you were given. That's the difference between winning and losing. The reason you're not winning yet is because deep down, you're still negotiating with your own excuses. You're still giving yourself a pass when the pain gets heavy. You're still trying to build a dream while holding on to comfort, and you cannot have both. The dream demands a price, and that price is everything weak, everything soft, everything lazy inside of you. The dream is ruthless. It does not compromise. You wake up and you hit snooze. You say you want greatness, but you negotiate for 5 more minutes of sleep. You say you want wealth, but you keep scrolling, keep distracting, keep wasting. You say you want love, but you keep settling, keep shrinking, keep hiding. You say you want health, but you eat the poison, skip the workouts, numb yourself with comfort, and then you wonder why you're not winning yet. The truth? The universe doesn't give rewards for intentions. It gives rewards for execution. Understand this. Winning is not an event. It is not a destination. It is a state of being. It is who you become when you decide that failure is no longer an option. Winning does not come to the person who wants it the most. It comes to the person who refuses to quit. That's why you can look at 2 men or 2 women with the same talent, the same skill, the same opportunity, and one of them will rise to greatness while the other fades into obscurity. Not because of luck, but because of relentless, unshakable persistence. Napoleon Hill said it best. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. Think about that. Refuses. That means no matter how many doors slam shut, no matter how many betrayals, no matter how many nights you cry into your pillow, no matter how heavy the silence feels, if you refuse to stop, the world eventually bends. The mountain eventually cracks. The resistance eventually yields. But the reason you're not winning yet is because you've been treating your dream like a hobby. You dabble when it's convenient. You work on it when you feel inspired. You back off when it gets hard. And life will not reward dabblers. Life will not crown half-hearted soldiers. Life crowns warriors who stay on the battlefield long after the weak have surrendered. That's the truth. And I know it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. Truth is not supposed to comfort you. It's supposed to wake you up. It's supposed to break the illusion that the world owes you anything. It doesn't. You don't deserve to win just because you exist. You deserve to win when you have bled for it, sweated for it, sacrificed for it, when you've given more than anyone else was willing to give. Then, and only then, does victory come. So the question is not, why am I not winning yet? The question is, what am I still holding back? What am I still refusing to give up? Because until you answer that, the dream will keep slipping away. You see, every single person who has ever stood on the mountaintop of success has had to pass through the valley of sacrifice. They've had to give up comfort. They've had to abandon the illusions of safety. They've had to walk away from the easy path. And that's where most people quit. Because the valley feels endless, the nights feel too long, the weight feels unbearable. That's when majority fold. But the ones who keep walking, the ones who dare to believe that beyond this darkness lies something magnificent, those are the ones history remembers. Do you know why the lion is called the king of the jungle? It's not the strongest animal, not the fastest, not the biggest. The elephant is bigger. The cheetah is faster. The rhino is tougher. But the lion has something none of them possess: a mentality. When the lion sees an elephant, it doesn't see a giant, it sees lunch. That's the difference. The lion wins because of belief. And you, yes, you, are not winning yet because your mind is still operating like prey instead of predator. You see obstacles as walls instead of stepping stones. You see rejection as proof that you're unworthy instead of proof that you're being tested. You see failure as final instead of fuel. You got to understand, your thoughts are not just whispers inside your head. They are blueprints. They are construction orders to your destiny. Every time you think small, you are building a small life. Every time you think impossible, you are welding chains around your own ankles. Every time you say, I can't, you are writing out the instructions for your own defeat. And then you wonder why you're not winning yet. Look back at Edison. Do you know how many times he failed before inventing the light bulb? Over 1,000. Imagine the voices in his mind. Imagine the mockery from others. Imagine the temptation to quit. And yet he reframed every failure as a discovery. I have not failed. I've just found one more way that doesn't work. That mindset, that stubborn refusal to let defeat define him, is the reason we sit in illuminated rooms today. If Edison had thought like most of us think, we'd still be living in darkness. The truth is, the battlefield of life is not out there. It is in here, in your mind, in your beliefs, in the private wars you fight when nobody else is watching. You can have the best strategies, the best mentors, the best resources. But if your mind is weak, you will sabotage yourself every single time. You'll start, but you won't finish. You'll dream, but you won't build. You'll want, but you won't act. And listen, life doesn't care about what you wanted. Life doesn't care about what you meant to do. Life rewards what you execute. The scoreboard doesn't remember intentions. It remembers results. The world doesn't pay you for ideas. It pays you for outcomes. That's why you're not winning yet. Because you're still living more in thought than in action. You need to decide, today, not tomorrow, not someday, that from this moment forward, you will align your actions with your vision. That means if you want freedom, your choices must reflect discipline. If you want abundance, your effort must reflect consistency. If you want greatness, your habits must reflect sacrifice. Anything less is delusion. Anything less is fantasy. Look at Steve Jobs. He didn't just dream of sleek, revolutionary devices, he obsessed. He cut away everything unnecessary. He drove his team to exhaustion not because he wanted to be cruel, but because he believed so deeply that the future was worth it. He held the line when others said it was impossible. And because of that relentless pursuit, the world changed. Do you think that kind of obsession is comfortable? Do you think that kind of discipline is easy? No, but that's what it takes. So I'll ask you again, what are you still holding back? Because the truth is, you can't lie to yourself. You know exactly where you've been soft. You know exactly where you've been procrastinating. You know exactly what you've been avoiding. And as long as you allow those weak places to remain, as long as you keep pampering your excuses, as long as you keep justifying your comfort, you will keep wondering why you're not winning yet. The answer is simple, but it's not easy. You must become ruthless with yourself. Ruthless against laziness. Ruthless against distraction. Ruthless against fear. Because if you are not ruthless with your weaknesses will be ruthless with you. They will choke your dream. They will poison your potential. They will bury you alive under the weight of regret. And regret, that's the heaviest prison of all. To wake up one day, decades from now, and realize you had the chance, you had the time, you had the fire, but you squandered it because you chose ease over greatness. That, my friend, is a torment worse than failure. And that's why discipline is not your enemy. It is your liberator. You think freedom is doing whatever you want, whenever you want, but that's not freedom. That's chaos. That's slavery to impulse. True freedom comes from mastery. When you can command yourself to rise when the alarm rings, to work when you don't feel like it, to study when the world is out partying, that is freedom. Because then you are no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of emotion. You are the master of your destiny. Look at the greats. Muhammad Ali, he hated training. He admitted it. He despised the early mornings, the long runs, the grueling gym sessions. But he said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. That's the trade. Temporary pain for permanent glory. And most people, they flip the trade. They choose temporary comfort and end up living permanent regret. That's the transaction you've been making. And that's why you're not winning yet. Because winning requires sacrifice. You can't keep your old self and step into your new life. You can't cling to comfort and also claim greatness. You can't serve two masters, your excuses and your dreams. One of them must die. Which one will it be? History whispers the answer if you're willing to listen. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination. Imagine that. The man who built worlds, who created magic, who dreamed in color when the world was still black and white, was told he wasn't creative enough. Most people would have shrunk. Most people would have accepted that label. But Disney didn't live by someone else's definition. He held on to his vision. He kept creating, kept failing, kept building until the world finally caught up to his imagination. And today, his name is synonymous with wonder. Now ask yourself, how many times have you let someone else's words dictate your worth? How many times have you let rejection convince you that you weren't capable? How many times have you silenced your own voice because the crowd didn't cheer? That's the truth, isn't it? You're not losing because you're weak. You're losing because you've been listening to the wrong voices. Let me remind you of something. Every giant was once doubted. Every legend was once laughed at. Every icon was once invisible. But they had something you keep neglecting. They had resilience. Resilience is not just about bouncing back. It's about refusing to be broken. It's about staring failure in the face and saying, you don't get the final word. Think about Henry Ford. He went bankrupt 5 times before building the company that revolutionized the world. 5 times he was knocked to the ground. 5 times he could have walked away. But each time he rose. Each time he rebuilt. And because of that relentless spirit, he left a mark on history that can never be erased. And here's the brutal truth. You're not winning yet because you've been quitting too soon. You stop at the 9th try when the victory was waiting at the 10th. You stop at the doorstep of breakthrough because the weight of the door feels too heavy. But what if Edison had stopped? What if Jobs had given up? What if Ford had said it's too much? The world as you know it wouldn't exist. And if you keep quitting, your world will never change either. Listen carefully. Success doesn't ask, how badly do you want it? It asks, how much are you willing to endure for it? Anyone can want. Anyone can dream. But endurance, that is the rare currency. That is the proof of belief. That is the difference between the almosts and the legends. And endurance is born from vision. Without vision, every obstacle looks like defeat. Without vision, every sacrifice feels like punishment. Without vision, you'll never last. That's why you need to see it before it's real. You need to taste it before it exists. You need to hold it in your imagination so vividly that nothing can rip it from your hands. Do you think Martin Luther King Jr. would have endured the threats, the hatred, the danger if he didn't have a vision burning inside him? He wasn't just marching for rights. He was marching for a dream. He carried it so clearly in his soul that the world could not ignore it. And though he was taken from us, his dream lives on because vision is immortal. So I'll ask you again, what's your vision? Not your shallow wish, not your vague hope, but your fire. The thing you'd suffer for, the thing you'd sacrifice for, the thing you'd bleed for. Because until you find that, you will keep drifting, you will keep delaying, you will keep wondering why you're not winning yet. But when you do find it, when you lock onto that vision with everything you've got, then discipline stops feeling like prison and starts feeling like privilege. Sacrifice stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like investment. And the grind stops feeling like misery and starts feeling like destiny. That's when the tide turns. That's when the momentum builds. That's when the world starts abandoning your direction. And this is where most people stumble. They dream, they plan, they visualize, but they never move. They keep polishing the idea, perfecting the plan, waiting for the right moment. Let me give you a truth that will shatter your excuses. The right moment never comes. Never. There is no perfect time. There's only now. Every second you hesitate, the world spins without you. Opportunities pass. Doors close. The tide shifts. Thomas Edison didn't wait for perfection. He tried, failed, adjusted, and tried again 10,000 times. Do you realize what that means? 10,000 failures. 10,000 sparks that didn't ignite. 10,000 nights of wondering if he was delusional. And yet he kept moving. And because he moved, the darkness of the world was shattered by light. Now compare that to you. How many times have you delayed action because you were waiting to feel ready? How many times have you said, I'll start next week, I'll begin when things settle down, I'll move when the timing is better? And where has that left you? Stuck in the same place, whispering to yourself why you're not winning yet. You see, action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Without action, dreams rot. Without action, ideas die. Without action, belief turns into nothing but self-delusion. Belief without action is fantasy. Belief with action becomes destiny. Look at Steve Jobs. He wasn't the first to dream of personal computers. Others had the idea. Others had the technology. But what separated him was action. He built. He failed. He rebuilt. He obsessed. He acted on his vision when others were still thinking. And because of that, he reshaped not just technology, but culture, communication, and the way humanity interacts with the world. So the truth is simple. You're not winning yet because you haven't stepped onto the battlefield. You're still watching from the sidelines, analyzing the fight, waiting for certainty. But certainty is an illusion. Action creates certainty. Progress creates confidence. Momentum creates belief. Think about a rocket. It uses most of its fuel just to break through the atmosphere. The hardest part is the beginning, the resistance of gravity, the crushing pull that wants to keep it grounded. But once it breaks free, once it's in orbit, momentum carries it forward with ease. That's your life. The hardest part is starting. The hardest part is pushing past the initial resistance of doubt, fear, and inertia. But if you commit, if you break through, everything after becomes lighter. But you've been standing on the launch pad, staring at the stars, wishing for flight, while never igniting the engines. That's why you're not winning yet. Now let's dig deeper, because I know what you're thinking. What if I fail? Let me flip that question. What if you succeed? What if your ideal works? What if your vision becomes reality? What if the thing you've been carrying in your soul actually changes your life, your family, your legacy? Isn't that possibility worth the risk of failure? Failure is not the enemy. Failure is the price of admission. Failure is the tuition you pay to the University of Greatness. Look at Abraham Lincoln. He lost election after election, failed in business, faced oppression that nearly consumed him. Yet he endured. He kept stepping back onto the stage. And in the end, he didn't just become president. He became the man who held a nation together in its darkest hour. So I ask you, why are you treating failure like a death sentence when it is, in fact, the birth of wisdom? Why are you treating rejection like a wall when it is really a door testing your resolve? Every failure is feedback. Every setback is instruction. Every stumble is a seed of strength if you choose to learn from it. And here's something few people will tell you. Success demands gratitude even in failure. Gratitude is not just for sunny days. It's for storms too. Because gratitude keeps you from bitterness. Gratitude transforms setbacks into stepping stones. Gratitude keeps your vision alive when your results are screaming otherwise. Do you think Andrew Carnegie built his empire without gratitude? No. He faced ruthless competition, labor strikes, economic crashes. But he always saw beyond the pain into the privilege of building, of striving, of growing. Gratitude gave him resilience. And resilience gave him empire. So listen, when you act, you will fail, you will bleed, you will fall. But if you carry gratitude, You will rise faster, stronger, sharper. And with every rise, you'll be closer to the life you were meant to live. That is the rhythm of winning. Vision, action, failure, gratitude, resilience. Repeat over and over until the world can no longer deny your persistence. That is how legacies are built. That is how immortality is earned. And you've been sitting on the sidelines, convincing yourself that watching is the same as living. It's not. The field is waiting. The battle is calling. The question is, will you step onto it? And now we come to the heart of it. The part you've been avoiding, the mirror you've been afraid to look into. The truth isn't that the world is against you. The truth isn't that you're unlucky. The truth isn't that you don't have the talent, the resources, or the connections. The truth is simpler, sharper, and harder to swallow. You're not winning yet because you haven't decided to. That's it. That's the knife that cuts through every excuse. Winning isn't given. It isn't inherited. It isn't stumbled upon. It is chosen. Day after day, hour after hour, choice after choice. The men and women whose names are etched into history, Edison, Lincoln, Carnegie, Jobs, Disney, Oprah, they weren't handed victory. They decided on it, and then they bled for it. Look at Walt Disney. He was told he lacked imagination. He was fired. He was bankrupt. He lived on scraps. Yet every insult, every rejection, every closed door was powerless against his decision. He had chosen to bring magic into the world, and no man, no circumstance, no failure could unmake that decision. Today, his vision lives on, long after his bones have turned to dust. Why? Because decisions echo beyond lifetimes. But your life is whispering back at you right now. It's saying, I'll commit tomorrow. I'll start when it's easier. I'll choose when I feel ready. And while you wait, your dreams are decaying. Your time is evaporating. Your potential is rotting in silence. Let me tell you something. Life does not wait. Time does not pause. Opportunity does not sit at your doorstep forever. It knocks, it waits a moment, and then it moves on to someone bolder. And you are left staring at the silence, wondering why you're not winning yet. But you can change that right now, in this moment, with one decision. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when things calm down. Now, this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need another book. You don't need another speech. What you need is a line in the sand. A vow to yourself that from this moment forward, hesitation dies. Excuses die. Fear dies. Because you have decided that you will not go to your grave with your potential still locked inside of you. Do you understand what's at stake here? This isn't about money. This isn't about fame. This isn't about followers or applause. This is about legacy. This is about the story written in the marrow of your bones. This is about whether, when the final curtain falls, you leave behind whispers of regret or echoes of greatness. And don't you dare think you're too late. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when he built KFC. Grandma Moses didn't paint until her 70s. Ray Kroc was a milkshake machine salesman before he transformed McDonald's into an empire. It is never too late to choose, but it is always too soon to quit. So, here's the truth carved in stone. You're not winning yet because you haven't made the decision, taken the action, endured the failure, carried the gratitude, and risen again and again until the world breaks beneath your persistence. The moment you do, the world will bend, doors will open, momentum will carry you. People will doubt, laugh, criticize, and it won't matter because you'll know the truth. You'll know that winning is not about applause or validation. It's about fulfilling the measure of your potential. Do you want to know the scariest thing? You already have everything you need. The vision, it's inside you. The discipline, it's waiting to be awakened. The resilience, it's forged the moment you decide. The gratitude, it's a choice you can make with every breath. You are not lacking. You are simply sleeping. So wake up and burn the excuses. Wake up and ignite the engines. Wake up and step onto the battlefield. Wake up and decide. Because one day, maybe sooner than you think, you will close your eyes for the last time. And in that moment, you'll face one final question. Did you win the life you were capable of, Or did you let it slip through your fingers? The clock is ticking. The fire is burning. The stage is set. Decide. Act. Endure. Rise. Win. Not tomorrow. Not later. Not someday. Now.